they wanted to do to give them the best shot at beating TSM, or if they're just trying to get some more games under the belt for Shady and give Nori a chance to kind of prove himself before playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't really know what it is for sure. It is up to what they've determined, but certainly it wasn't an accident. It was on purpose why they had put Meteos in instead of Nori, and suddenly he's back in the roster. And I know Nori has been waiting and rearing to go. You expect him to come out explosive here. Although they had decent games when he did play last, but of course a lot to prove for a player that had been replaced for so long.
Certainly is, and we know that it's also going to affect pick and ban. Against Meteos, he does not play the same kind of junglers that a lot of other people do, and Nori is a fantastic Rengar player. You have to be aware of that in the picks and bans. Meteos, a lot of people are banning things like Olaf and Elise, and he gets to play Zac from time to time. You're going to have to change that up when you're going against a Nori, because TSM may not be willing to actually make that Rengar Graves trade with this player.
Well, it looks like it might happen right now. The only jungler off the table right now is Gragas, and even then it's a flex with Ziggs, so P1 can set up for the jungle trade. Maybe Malzahar left up with the Lulu off the table. We'll see. Graves does get banned.
Okay, Graves banned away likely means TSM will first pick that Rengar and take it away, but it's actually, wow, it is Malzahar even over that. So I definitely think we're going to see a Nori be able to grab up the Rengar for himself. There are a number of options that work pretty well against the Malzahar. I think things like Zyra can be pretty powerful. I think if you're going to pick that first round, you pick it as your third pick though, and take things away that would be more contested, such as the Nautilus, such as the Rengar.
Yeah, well, we know that Shady has put plenty of Mal's games into his solo queue. We expect him to have practiced it as well, and TSM clearly feel comfortable playing, or at least hovering the Taric that he expects Shady to play. And that might be the question, though, is if Shady doesn't know the counter matchups, if he hasn't played a lot of scrims, you don't see Taric Mal's in solo queue very much. So maybe this does work out as the plan, that TSM go for it this way. Unsure, but you're right. The Nautilus and the Rengar are certainly very high priority. Grabbed pretty easily by Phoenix One, and it's going to be Lee Sin as the counteraction here with a Maokai early grab as well. We have seen the champion get exploited in lane.
Yeah,
we'll see if Hanser can make it happen.
It does feel a little bit weird how often TSM is picking Maokai these days still. I feel like his priority has fallen so much, and his laning phase is very exploitable. Yes, Hanser is still a super strong top laner and often can make it through lane okay, even on the Maokai, but why not give him something that's a little bit stronger in lane, has a little bit more potential, because I think that his scaling is too heavily weighted towards the late game. He doesn't have an early impact.
We are going to have desynced roles once again. In fact, all bot lane marksmen available, and Varus is actually the priority pick right here for Phoenix One. I do really, really love in 7.5. There seems to be pretty much everything's viable, everything's playable, and we're going to see Varus most likely with an attack speed sort of Hurricane build. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be Ruin King or Essence Reaver, but it's been mostly Ruin Kings we've seen from pro play so far.
Yeah, I think Blade of the Ruin King first is definitely the go-to. I'm honestly pretty surprised by a couple of these picks. The Maokai and the Varus this early does surprise me. I think that when you're looking at the comp that's already being laid out here from TSM, Lee Sin, Maokai, things that are very strong at diving, getting on top of these sorts of AD carries, locking them down, taking them out. I was expecting something more like an Ezreal or a Caitlyn, who is a little bit more safe against these sorts of compositions. Even the Malzahar being in there, you need to be able to be far enough back to not get taken out.
Well, it's not the end of the world for a Varus to go for Quicksilver Sash. I feel like he kind of is happy buying a Scimitar, but you're right, it is a lot of threats, a lot of scariness, and it's of course a low mobility marksman for Arrow. Always a small chance that Varus is a flex to mid. That's usually unlikely. And they're going to give up a ban, actually. Nothing banned away in phase 2 here.
And we'll find out if that was an accident or not shortly and let you guys know. But one thing about Varus that can be pretty nice is you can deal with the passive of Malzahar pretty easily. With your piercing arrows in lane, you can poke that off. You can knock it off with your E as well. And that can sometimes bridge the gap if you want to run some other sort of support, or something like Taric even, because you have an AD carry who can knock off that passive, so Taric can land the stun and you can get something going there.
Yeah, you see Zyra the ban away, which actually I think makes sense as far as, again, champions that are good in a Malzahar that we think Shady knows very well. Zyra's definitely up there. Again, maybe he proves us wrong, and his Taric or his Tom Kench are very good, but it wasn't what we've seen him play in solo queue. It was a bunch of mage supports, and potentially he might not have the obvious counter pick.
Yeah, and Zyra I just think is so strong in lane against Malzahar in general.
I agree.
You're able to poke him out, you outrange him so very easily, and it's pretty tough for the Malzahar to actually get in on you. We did get the information that it was just the time ran out on the ban, so they were just too slow on that one.
Oh, interesting. They were still discussing, and it was like, oops, too late, ban not coming through. I guess it's an accidental missed ban, and either way, it's a mistake, but that's the way it's happened here. And We'll see what actually would have been threatening for them. TSM hovering for their last couple of picks right now. They need a bot laner and a mid laner, we presume. Ezra going to come through as the safe bot laner for Wild Turtle.
It is pretty interesting to note that P1 did elect to have their last pick be their support, not saving that counter pick for Ryu. So they are going to be looking for something with a little bit of flexibility based on what TSM is choosing for their lineup.
That is always interesting. Yeah, it's very atypical, but clearly it is going to be them factoring in the rest of the comp.
Yeah, some teams do it from time to time. CLG was known for doing this a little bit when Aframu had, a specific support he wants to play, but it has to be contingent upon something in the other.
Yes! Brand support is what they were waiting for. I am so happy
Look at this
that we get Brand support. Hey, it worked at Worlds, all right. Liquid made it a top 8 with the rest of Albus Nox Luna. Brand is awesome. I am excited about this champion being played. And he said, you know what? Even though they picked up Ari, it's fine. The bot lane's not too scary. Let's play Brand. Love it.
Yeah, I think it can actually work out pretty well against Malzahar for similar reasons to Zyra. You have very long range on your W. You can knock down people with those Pillars of Flame. And as far as actual teamfight damage, Brand is actually very powerful in the teamfights from the support role. That said, he's very gankable. He's super squishy. If you get Flash Malzahar ulted and a gank comes in, there's almost no chance of surviving. So he's certainly high risk, high reward. But if you can get going, he can even take over teamfights from the support role.
Absolutely the case. We're going to see if they can do it. Phoenix One normally have been known for being a pretty solid bot lane, though both them and TSM had some stumbles yesterday. So now we get to see who gets the revenge match. TSM need to win this to grab a first place seed for the postseason. Phoenix One, to be honest, have nothing to play for directly except to determine playoff seeding. If they beat TSM, it means they'll face TSM in semis, assuming they win. And if they lose here, it means that they play against Cloud9, who had just beat them yesterday. So it almost like, in terms of making your playoff run feel better, beating TSM lets you face up against a team that you had just beaten.
And I also just think it's pretty important to actually have a realistic idea of where you stand against a team. Scrims are not the same thing, even if you are playing against them, as playing a stage match. And being able to come in with preparation, give your all, and see how you actually match up against this team, I think is very valuable.
And we are here with a quick pause in the game.
Hype.
Yeah, hype! All right. Wait around a little bit for that one. Everyone had bought items except for Arrow, so potentially it's him, but we'll wait to see. He is talking to a ref right now up on screen, so we'll see what actually comes through with this one. I had noticed actually in the pregame lobby he was typing, and it would like occasionally switch back and forth to Korean. Normally, I think on Korean keyboards you had a button and it switches from English layout to Korean layout. I don't know if that's the reason. I'm just saying things that I noticed this morning. And while we have this downtime, I have a story to tell, very important behind-the-scenes information. Walking to the caster desk, I ran into Reginald, who gave me a hug, and he asked me to say something nice about him on the broadcast. So, Reginald, you're a cool dude. And I have now completed my
to the letter of the
obligation.
Law, you have checked that box.
I told him I was casting a series to say something good about me, and so I did.
Is sellout applicable here?
Yeah, this is I'm now TSM Freak, it's official. Clearly, we all know
Chad
what
is
team
going
I'm
to be
rooting
so
for.
disappointed.
I'm replacing him on the roster. Call him Wild Turtle. New TSM back in town.
Oh no, the spoilers.
that was
that part of the script wasn't supposed to come out.
Sorry. Yeah, that's in season 2. My bad. All right, well, it's in the tease, and we are ready to go. The game has been unpaused in real time, and so we'll get off Arrow's beautiful face and into the game in a second.
Yeah, there was just a logo showing up for Arrow for some reason on the screen, but it has gone away, I do believe.
Okay.
So we're now good to go and into the game.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You can hear that crowd roar saying that we are in a TSM versus Phoenix One match. TSM playing for a #1 seed in the postseason. Phoenix One putting Inori back in his first full match, potentially, since back in week 4. He's only played 1 game since his match against CLG back then. Shady also staying in the lineup. His second game on the LCS stage. His first was a loss to Cloud9. And his trial by fire continues. He plays against the #1 team in North America.
And I am really excited to track how this bot lane is going to go and how well they're going to be able to play around the brand in particular, because I do feel like it is a very feast or famine type champion.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And you're going to hope that they can feed the flames and you can keep kind of...
Especially with the Ignite. I mean, they have no exhaust on their team. So if Bjergsen does get going, like that's going to be pretty terrifying. I mean, if you get pretty strong as an Ahri against an exhaustless support brand, you don't even have to hit a skill shot. You essentially just ult up and press your W and he's going to die. Like, it becomes comical how fast some of these people will fall over. Obviously, there is CC and there is threat to kind of stop Bjergsen from being able to do that too easily. But it's something that they need to be even more aware of, because I think that exhaust here could have been the safer of the options.
To watch here, Arrow snipes in, gets one of the small raptors. That's kind of nice.
Very nice.
Notice he stole a little bit there. That's always cute to see.
But they're actually going to take advantage of this in the bot lane. TSM was camping the brush and are going to be hard shoving this wave. So this may not actually end up really paying off for Arrow. He did delay his opponents a little bit, but the push is going to be very quick. And what?
Yep. Wow. They will be under turret. Nice missing shot lands from Wild Turtle. Now, as long as you last with the minions, it won't matter too badly, but he's actually going to ruin a lot of the CS here. Shady is going to help him get... Okay, 2 CS under turret's not too bad, actually. That's actually pretty reasonable with the Pillar of Flame. And Arrow is going to have 5 out of 6, which is... Oh, 4 out of 6, he got one of the Raptors. So it is 35 gold denied, I should say, by TSM's push, and that, of course, makes up for the Raptor take completely.
They'll likely get level 2 first here, also. So we'll see if they're going to get any poke in off of that.
So far, not. That's a decent trade, and the one that, it favors Phoenix 1. Arrow was landed a Q, and then, Pillar versus Mystic Shot, obviously, advantage for Shady.
Another nice thing for those of you who have not really played support Brand and don't know that much about him is the way that Brand's passive works is it puts this burn on you. And so if you hit anyone with a spell, you get full charges of your spell thieves straight off the bat. So that is one of the nicest things about him. And someone who has played a lot of this champion in the past, really enjoy it as support. It's one of the easiest champions to actually continuously keep that proc. So if you go for something like an early Frostfang, you can actually have an insane amount of income from this throughout the game. And it's not surprising to see someone on Brand, have 1,500 2K off of an early Frostfang in the course of a regular sized game.
Definitely agree. I think it's still worse than Zyra or a Morgana, but I think he's probably 3rd place in terms of overall supports. And
Morgana's probably easiest.
I think those are definitely top 2. But you're right, Brand definitely earns a lot of money, and it's one to watch out for. Shady can be a big threat here. Control ward, I don't actually know if he got revealed since the control ward shows itself. Now it's just already walked up, but...
Yeah, I mean, you know that someone placed the control ward, and who could have placed the control ward besides the jungler when everyone else is showing, so that is going to give it away regardless. Nice little trade there onto Ryu.
Doesn't quite land the Q. Ryu walks back enough, but Bjergsen is pushing in. He's got a CS lead, and here comes Svenskeren into the top side. He's going to have a real hard time with this one. The slows are in. The Q's going to land. He's not going to get anywhere out of this one. Does he hop the wall? There's no point. First blood goes to Hanser. Actually, probably the best possible option there, and a big lead for TSM in the top lane.
Yeah, especially when you consider this is supposed to be a bad early lane.
Look at that damage, though. And actually, the summoner heal was used by Arrow. Interestingly, also one by Wild Turtle, and there's damage into Shady. Has to flash over. Takes in the exhaust. The trade of summoners, but a flash down for Shady means 3 summoners used on both sides.
Yeah, and Nori is here. We'll see if they get too close to this brush. And Nori's looking.
Jumps for his... Oh, not quick to get the root onto Biofrost. Was able to juke away in time, but that's 4 summoners down now, and push lead and a wave denied. Phoenix 1 coming out of pretty much, I would say, ahead in this.
Yeah, a nice little bit of damage down on the turret. Already down to half HP, and the wave is not cleared. They have another wave coming in. They could try to force for first turret, but feeling a little bit like that's too risky with Svenskeren out on the map. He could be down there.
If Lee Sin shows you don't get the turret, you take a terrible recall. Yeah, you likely die, but even if you don't, it's a bad recall at that point. So Wild Turtle gets tier and new potions, which is not bad for him, and Phoenix 1 going to get more. A quick Vamp Scepter. Arrow, of course, is going to be going Ruin King. And there's that Frostfang, so Shady's going to be rolling in money.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it does make a lot of sense in this sort of a game. We didn't talk too much about the top lane since the bot lane action did break out, but I think it's pretty devastating, not only that the first blood was given over to Hanser, but the fact that you have this bully early champion in the Nautilus, and you actually are now losing quite a bit in the top lane. And Maokai does outscale you pretty heavily, so if Nautilus is not doing better in the early game, it can be somewhat problematic.
Can be, and Nori's going to be revealed by the war. He's going to go in for the fight. A lot of damage out of Svenskeren. Force the flash. One more hit. He'll do it inside the jungle. Svenskeren takes down his opposing jungler.
It's the value of that ward, and Hanser is now here, making that classic roam over to the mid lane. Ryu already backed off, but I don't think that's the last time we're going to see Hanser moving down to mid lane. Him and Bjergsen love to pair up for those ganks. Anytime he's on a tank in the top lane, you'll see him go for it. And Nori did win the smite fight, but quite a bit later, it's the wraparound coming right back to him as he's recalling on the ward. He's going to get caught out. Pretty easy kill here for him.
I like how Sven makes it look cool, like he ward hops in just to make sure it looks really sweet. Even though he could have walked forward anyway, but
I think he just wanted to get there even faster, stop the recall, but now level 6.
Kick into the wall, there's the root, there's all the damage. It's Svensker and having a field day in this one, 2-0 on Hanser.
He's been everywhere. Such a good start for Sven, and the bot lane's going well for P1, but top lane is looking like it could turn into a disaster. You're gonna lose control of your jungle. I mean, when the jungler's behind and the top laner is behind, you often cede full control and they're able to farm out your side of the jungle, which puts Rengar so down.
It really can, and there's not enough of a lead in the bot side right now. It's certainly an advantage Phoenix
well.
one. You're right, it's going to be the turret going down, and unless Nori can turn this bot lane around fast enough to race them, which I think is incredibly unlikely, but actually, look at the damage coming out of P1. They've got to make this knockdown. It's going to be a fairly close race, but looks like it will go advantage to Arrow.
Nice
the Biofrost turns out the bot lane advantage is massive. And it's a trade of lanes. First turret, again, gold did go to P1. Of course, traded still, though the turret going down for TSM on the top side.
Yeah, it's big for P1 to get that first turret, make sure the gold lead does not get blown too wide open. And now they're going to try to move over to this dragon, see if they can't get that started up. The Hunter does not have his TP, neither does Zig. So it should be going P1's way.
All right, so an early Mountain Drake. This is a very, very early one as well. If Phoenix 1 can somehow maintain control of bot side, they can stack up a lot of Drakes this game. This is a very, very quick one. Mountain Drake going to go over. Of course, it's going to help take further Drakes later on in the game, and Infernal's going to be fun for later on, depending on which team can get it. Both will use it pretty nicely. Phoenix 1, though, having to nurse a 1,000 gold deficit thanks to Svenskern's early game.
Yeah, I mean, the solo lanes are pretty far ahead. It's the top side of the map for TSM, almost always, that they are focusing on, and Nori is probably going to get caught out here.
For a bit, Bjerg's going to get shockwaved up, now goes to the trade into Ryu, does going to land all those shots, and an already kill comes in. Svenskern killing opposing jungler, traded back by Arrow, 1-for-1 so far. The fight on towards Shady, then Voidlings are hungry, looking to take him out, and Wild Turtle able to claim the kill, makes it a 2-for-1.
Arrow's done too.
TSM, and it's going to be 3-for-1. Arrow's got nowhere to go. He's slow, not going to mean much, and he's going to pop the ulti, get the kill picked up. Overall 3-1, 6-2 the overall scoreline. Now TSM far ahead.
Yeah, very far ahead. Ryu and Bjergsen look like they were going at it. Summoner's blown on both sides. So that is somewhere where it could be a point of contention later, but Svenskeren is just getting such a lead in the jungle over a Nori that can just move into all these lanes and really affect them, especially when TSM already has those winning solo lanes. And this, I think, is just, it's a bridge too far for P1. They stayed around so long after killing this first turret. They wanted to take back that red buff, but Sven very strong, able to finish off the kill, and Arrow flashing in here. Haunter's already down. Zig doesn't have his TP, so Haunter was always going to be able to clean up this kill, and Shady getting picked off by Turtle is always nice to be able to donate the gold to your ADC.
And poor Arrow doesn't have boots, so there's just no way out for this one. He lands is slow, and Haunter still walks faster than him with Merc Treads. It's just nothing to do.
And I mean, the fact of the matter is, there was no help coming from Ryu because Ryu was at very low HP, low mana. If he came over, he would have just donated another kill. So there was no real way out there for Arrow.
Yep, and it's going to be TSM feeling pretty good about this game so far. The gold lead 1,500, and they can certainly make more out of it. Bjergsen still up in his lane by 17 minions. Hasn't bought in a while. You can see the actual components are better on Ryu's side. That'll change shortly as Bjergsen goes for his recall. Posting up from Relanomicon, and they're actually staying on the bot side right now. Nothing to play for, but doesn't really want to fight a 3-0 Maokai.
And Bjergsen is just going to get even more ahead off of that because a lot of these minions are getting denied, and the wave is going to push back towards his opponent. So almost a full wave there denied to Ryu as Bjergsen got to get that shove in before having to base. And Ryu is itemizing pretty defensively because of this. You know, Merc Treads first. It is going to kind of slow down some of his progression, but I think it makes a lot of sense, both against the Charm and also the fact that Haunter loves to roam down to mid lane and try to lock you up.
Absolutely. We'll see what else can happen in this one. Dueling with blue buffs, and you can see that Bjergsen actually giving a lot of respect to Ryu right now. She's playing a fair bit back.
Yeah.
Might be respecting the Rengar ulti.
Exactly.
No flash.
No summoner's down, so definitely wants to show some respect to that. Sven down on the bot side again, and he is level 8. Very, very strong.
Zig having actually a couple of games in a row now. Actually, he's been killed off fairly early on. We had talked about before the fact that Zig kind of holds on against kind of any player, and he's just that rock that holds on in top lane. But we saw from both the Cloud9 set and game 1 here, Zig can be attacked, and those kills can go over to the opposing top laner. He very rarely gets help from his team, and there's a bit of a poke on a Biofrost. Not going to do a ton, though. Does trigger the passive, and 45 gold is with Shady.
Rengar ultimate popped. There's a TP
TP
coming in from Zig. Haunter has his to match.
Okay.
It's also coming in.
Haunter 2 seconds behind Zig. Rolt's gonna land on a wild throw, plenty of damage. They're gonna try to blow up the marksman, and they almost take him out. He's gonna stay alive though. The re-engage on a Zig. That's gonna be a kill picked up, you assume, but he flashes and heals to safety. No kills picked up at all, but the chase is still in. Bjergman hooked back in. A lot of damage to Shot Barrage. Almost picks off Zig. Still attacks coming through. Haunter's gonna find the root. He's gonna find the kill. There's number 1. Number 2 gonna come through as well. A double Haunter. 5-0 in this one as the chase continues under the turret. Root's up in 2 seconds. Looks for Arrow. Not gonna find the play. The 2 for 0. Damages couldn't quite come through from Phoenix 1.
Yeah, TSM just a little bit too far ahead. They couldn't finish off Turtle, and even with him immediately out of the fight, TSM is so strong that they can continue forward and able to go for this. It didn't seem like Shady was able to get a very effective ultimate. Their Shockwave going to get flashed out by Sven. Haunter not really taking too much damage here, and I think the ultimate actually did not bounce at all there from Shady.
One hit Haunter.
Straight onto Haunter. So the Orianna ultimate and the Brand ultimate both only being expended on Haunter means almost all of your teamfight damage is gone, and Maokai was just never going to go down to that.
As they look at that clean, of course, we know it turned into nothing and it's going to peter out. We will come out of this replay into a pause, so we're going to talk about how the game has gone real quick. As TSM, we're waiting around to the tri-brush for a little bit of nothing. We have a quick cleanup for Haunter, I believe. He spilled a drink on his desk, so unlucky. Yeah, see? I'm not selling him out, we can see it.
And they don't help him hide his shame, freak.
I would blame the camera ops for that one. I can't help you. I got to call what I see and what I'm told by production. See, he's laughing. He knows.
Let's get a zoom in on that spill.
Yeah, can we get a zoom in on the face of shame, by the way? But he's back on the game face, though. Haunter's good to go.
Yeah, he's playing it cool. He's playing it cool.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry. That was fine. I just wanted to break their concentration. And we're getting ready checks now from the players, so we'll be back into the game very, very shortly. But this is a game with a 6-kill lead and 4,000 putting TSM ahead. Again, if they close this match out, TSM secure that number 1 spot. They'll improve to 15-3, which is not quite what they had last split, but still a very good score.
I mean, it's a 5-kill Maokai, and I just feel like with the damage dealer set a little bit behind, I mean, Orianna is so far away from the point where she's going to be relevant against this Maokai.
Yeah.
It's very easy to kind of dive in on the back line. So much of the teamfights come down to P1 getting effective AoE ultimates, and if the fight looks like the last one, they're never going to win. You must hit multiple people with that Brand ultimate, get a good bounce going, and try to follow up with that Shockwave.
Absolutely, but the difficulty is, of course, TSM have several long-range tools. Bjergman cutting around, Wild Thread with the skill shots, and Haunter can take a long time in the front line and weather a lot of this damage output. Now, Arrow's Ruin King is done. That'll help him get through this tank, because right now Haunter hasn't gotten much armor, but it's still a long road ahead. Arrow's gold lead certainly not the same as what Haunter's is. Cutting through this tank will be very difficult. You can see a 900 gold difference is a lot.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the fact of the matter is, you don't need that much armor early in the game. Just the HP and the innate tankiness from Maokai's ultimate and passive are enough to really keep him up through almost anything at this point.
Yeah, of course, the top lane advantage is even larger than Haunter's advantage over Arrow, but 900 between those two, because I feel like it really is on Arrow to find a way to kill off Haunter. There is some % health damage, but it's all magic, so the early Visions Merc does make it a bit more difficult. But Brand sometimes can have good anti-tank patterns. It's nice that he has a stun that doesn't really drop his damage output, so maybe Shady can be part of this one. He's got his upgraded Sight Stone, and we'll see what's next up. A brush bait as they're going to play for this Drake. It's a gold deficit for Phoenix 1. Maybe they can get it. Nice sapling toss prevents this, though. Heads up play by Haunter. No dice for Phoenix 1.
Yeah, and I don't think Phoenix 1 can even attempt to fight this at this point. You had to look for that pick, and I think without the pick, they don't have too much of a chance to actually move in and try to contest TSM straight up. TSM now is getting vision control back. They have such a strong front line. As long as they keep their battle lines, they should be good to go in any of these coming fights. We'll start up with Dragon.
Push into the Infernal Drake, going to be not even a problem, TSM. You can see it's been seeded away entirely. Zig walk back to the top side. Now TSM look to take over into the jungle.
And it's a really big wave that TSM has set up in the bot lane. They're going to be shoving this up, already trying to push up onto this tier 2. Phoenix 1 couldn't move up to actually contest that because they didn't know exactly where TSM was. Zig does have his TP against, so they could contest if they want to try to fight here. Rio moving over.
Look for the play. You can see how tanky Haunter is, but he has lost a lot of HP.
Good
and
Brand
it's going to be Sven exploding for more damage than a Haunter. Maybe this fight can happen, but you can see still gun shy about this. There's no ward to TP2 for Zig, so even if they had managed to pick off Haunter, it would still be a 4v4 and Inori dies right away. So they don't pull the trigger. Phoenix 1 can hope that with the forced recall, they can get something out of it. Maybe they can hard rush for mid lane outer. I feel like they actually could, since they forced a full reset from TSM, but looks like nothing will be answered. I'm actually not sure if that was the right call to do nothing here.
Yeah, they're at least going to get control of their waves. That's the only thing that they really will get, and then kind of reset themselves here. But Brand does have a lot of percent HP damage. If you hit all 3 of your spells, you proc this bomb. That's going to do even more AoE in the area. So he has a lot of AoE damage and a lot of percent HP, which will be helpful in punching through that tank, but always going to be very, very squishy and have to be careful of that himself. Phoenix 1 now. I just think a lot of this is going to be about trying to find some sort of pickoffs with the Rengar, trying to get some sort of advantageous fight, because straight up fights are going to be really tough, I think, both for their comp at this point and for their gold deficit.
We'll see what happens. Gonna take some time. Nice charm comes in for Bjergsen. Ryu at half HP and nearly gets Sonic waved by Svensker. You can see he's got a teammate waiting around. Nice shockwave, good damage back on a Bjerg. Not enough to kill, of course. No summon has burned either.
TSM moving up around the mid lane, though. The bot lane has rotated up. Now they're going down to try to take down this tier 2. It's very low.
Yeah.
Should be able to get it on this wave unless a lot of Phoenix 1 members get over here fast.
I don't think they're there in time. Wild Turtle got to push the wave in, but he should get it in time. Here comes the wave. He's going to clear this one out with the ulti to buy a few more seconds for the squad. Arrows here, so is Shady, but not sure if the defense is going to happen. There comes the push. Couple more hits will do it. Wild Turtle takes a bit of a shot, but who cares? Ooh,
nice
it's done. That's going to matter a lot. Wild Turtle gives it away. That was over aggressive. So the turret goes down, but maybe there's a re-engage. Inori at half finds nothing. Turtle, pretty silly.
Yeah, maybe just not really that used to playing against Brand. You always want to stand behind the minions. If you can't hit that line skill shot Q, you won't get stunned and you're not even close to dying there. So yeah, Turtle steps in front of the minion. He could have just stand a little bit to the left and Brand wouldn't have actually been able to hit him there.
Yeah, silly mistake by Turtle. It's unfortunate. At the very end of the regular season, starting to have some of these fall-off performances.
Yeah, so you can see Turtle, you just have to stand in the minions or behind one of those minions. He steps in front of the range minions, gets tagged by the stun. Nice combo coming out there from from Shady.
Yeah, they both start with S, I understand. I've made the same mistakes before as well. I actually couldn't get FlyQuest and Echo Fox together for a little while because they both started with F, and I just my brain wouldn't process their different words. So I had that last week. Don't worry about this one. Now still, the lead for TSM, 4,000 up in game 1 here, looking to stay inside the jungle. Hanser leading the charge, Svenskarn right behind him, and maybe the red buff drops pretty easily. Smites to make sure. And Inori's having a very unlucky return to the game.
Yeah, he's just not really been able to get involved in much of anything. A couple deaths, 1 assist, but he has not even really been attempting very many ultimates. Most of them are kind of just pop for vision in team fights and finding out he can't really go in. I would like to see him spend more time in the side lanes. Yes, the Nautilus is behind, but in a situation like this, where he got out.
Caught out, kick towards the wall, might have an FTC, there's a charm, and it was everything they needed. All the shots landed, perfect layering by TSM. No way out for Inori.
Oh, and Varus got immune.
Yeah, Varusol got blocked by Biofrost passive. That's not ideal from Arrow. Of course, great for Biofrost. The 1-for-0 still nice. The camp resets, TSM keep pushing forward with the extra kill.
They may have actually thought he had poked that off, but now Haunts are wrapping around behind. They may look to set up a dive here with the minion wave cleared out. TSM will at least have to wait one more wave and shouldn't be able to go for it.
Inori won't be there before the minion wave is, so theoretically there's a small window of TSM 5v4ing.
Would be pretty risky though.
Yeah, it would be. We'll see what they actually go for here. Looks like they sent Ezreal bot side, and so TSM will just play for the waves.
I think it was a smart ultimate from Ryu, just clearing out that minion wave, preempting the dive.
We'll see if they can get on this mid side, of course, without Shockwave. Hanzo feels pretty safe. The wave clear good from Bjergsen's Ari, and nothing is to come of this. The pick just turns into 1 kill.
Yeah, and Nori trying to get a little bit of vision, but TSM had been controlling this side of the jungle for so long. It's very unsafe to move into these areas, especially with those pink wards. Biofrost have been hanging out by that red buff for such a long time, last couple minutes.
Good pick by TSM, and maybe a bit of lack of respect from Inori, but it's the way it came out. TSM can continue playing the push game right now. They are the one with the lead. Wild Turtle just pushes the wave past the river, walks back to his team, doesn't get jumped by anything. Feels pretty safe with some honey fruit. Biofrost still living inside this Phoenix 1 jungle. The ward's there to make sure that everything's safe. They get another buff steal. They stole the red not long ago. Here's another blue taken away. TSM continuing to grab everything they can. Honestly, pretty smart and clean execution. TSM looking solid in their last match of regular split.
They are looking solid. I think that attacking the opponent's jungle when you have these sorts of leads is one of the best ways to extend it. You're not only denying the gold, but you're adding extra gold into your pockets, and you're controlling vision, and Ryu now caught out.
Another flash ulti into the charm. No chance to get away from this one. 5v4. TP's coming in. Phoenix One actually use this one as the fight, and Nori gets a kill in a wild turn, but it's a trade. It's a 4v3 in the map now. Shady brings a teammate over the wall with a satchel plan. He's got nowhere to go in this one. Sven looks for a bit of damage. Can't quite find arrow just yet. Shady's close to getting charmed, though. He's got to be careful on this one. Flashes the wall. Keep himself safe. Just the -1 for Phoenix One, and maybe they re-engage this. It's going to look for this with Zig, but again, they're missing two of their players. Finding more of the fight's not going to work too well.
Yeah, it could be tough, but at the same time, Bjergsen without his ult, Svenskeren low, they could look to push up, and they want to try to contest this dragon, I think. So with the ultimates down, P1 has a lot of consistent DPS in this three-man squad with Arrow and Shady. And
Shady has ulti, he has Ignite. Do they have the damage? Sven's still low, as we saw.
I think they do.
Damage on the Hanser, he was able to pick Baron for a while. The Drake, I should say. In goes Sven, looks for the play, can't find it yet. Zig still taking the front lines. Here comes the play for the Drake, gonna get picked up by Sven, and here's the re-engage. Do they find it? Q's gonna land, still no ult from Shady yet. They haven't found the play. There's the hook on a Hanser. That should layer the stun, it will. Will he find teammates? Still no ulti yet for Shady, finally bounced it across. Won't be enough to kill. It's gonna be close for Sen, but the shield should be enough. Poke not gonna kill just yet. Here comes the re-engage. Look at that damage. Bjergsen with the double kill inside the back line. Well played, 13-4.
The ultimate coming back up for Bjergsen, nets him a couple kills. I think P1 was too hesitant on that. If you're gonna go for the play, you need to commit earlier. They had the ultimate available that whole time for Shady. He had his Ignite up. I think you can actually push in and force them off.
Yeah, and just target Svenskeren really hard once he's on the Drake itself. But the ult on him.
They were just way too hesitant. And if you allow him just to stay alive and don't actually force the fight, you're never gonna take the dragon because he has his smite up.
Yeah, and he'll heal off the smite and get his health back.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of poorly done in that situation from P1. Yes, it is a tough situation, but you either A, seed the dragon and push out waves, get something elsewhere, or B, you commit to the fight and try to actually get something done, because when you're just waffling around, moving back and forth like this, they're never actually going to take the dragon. And not only do they lose the dragon, but they end up giving Bjergsen enough time to get his ultimate back and pick up a couple fights on the exit.
So right there, a solid smite by Svenskeren, and then it was Bjergsen getting his ulti back, just waiting around for it. And he really plays it very well. Just the rest of the team is pushed out, and he's like, they're on wards. I can only do
ultimate
this.
Right back up, goes in, nails the charm, and dashes to the side with his ult to bring the pass-through of his Q for the true damage and get that second kill. So that was really nicely played.
Very slick by him. Bjergsen 2-0-5, but not the best scoreline on his team. You've got Hanser, the beneficiary of several ganks, at 6 kills, the leader in the game. And a lot of it was led in by Svenskeren in the jungle. 4-1-7, has honestly done so much work. Several kills topside, a solo kill on the way inside his own jungle. It's been great from him.
Yeah, Sven has looked so good. It's almost like he's getting that preemptive playoff buff.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, there was some times where he was not looking very good throughout the split, and coming into playoffs, he was a monster. You know, in playoffs, he was a monster. At Worlds, he was a monster. And this split, he has been getting some criticism for not looking at his top form. But today, certainly on point on the Lee Sin, one of his best champions.
Definitely agree. Svenskeren's look good, and we'll see if he can get any more out of this one. 6,000.6 gold. TSM double Inferno Drake, the great snowballing Drake. Mountain's nice for Baron rushes, but they've got more stats. It makes it easy to kill people, and we'll see Bjergsen looking for a trap. Control ward in the brush, so is he. Doesn't find anyone. Wild Turtle just going to clean up minion waves, and looks like it will be some more slow and steady for TSM. Ryu going to clear that ward that Bjerg was on a little while ago.
And I think that while TSM is playing it somewhat slow, they are still getting edges. You know, they're not being completely passive. They're controlling vision. They're getting stuff out of P1's jungle. They're taking the important objectives like the dragons each time. So, you know, for them, this is fine for now.
Gives a play, not going to get the stun to Svenskeren. Jumps away quickly enough. He's going to be all right with this one. Ulti doesn't do anything to Nautilus, and out they go. No harm, no foul, really, and not really a lot picked up either way. Still getting that mid lane push. Shockwave gonna land, but is there gonna be enough of an opening? Of course, Bjerg still has the ulti and Hoppin to get away with this one.
Yeah, and Nori popping his ult there, I feel like there's almost no chance of chasing down that kill with Bjergsen having his back up. They do get a little bit of vision on the play, but now Sven looking for the engage. Nice kick.
Big flash and a Shady deleted immediately. A kill comes through to Wild Turtle, his second of the game. TSM can do no wrong, it feels like, in this one. Looking to close out game one in fairly quick fashion. 25 minutes in, looking for mid lane tier 2.
I mean, as soon as the ultimate is down for Rengar, his effectiveness is so low, especially from behind in these fights. So there's almost no threat coming out of him, and that gives him the confidence to go forward.
Another situation of Turtle being a bit far up, takes a lot of damage, but stays alive here. Bates in a bit of a 5v4. TSM not yet taking the fight, though, fighting it back, and Turtle gonna lick his wounds still. He had burned so many heal for that one. A free turret take, but it was another situation of Turtle just like randomly being caught out. It felt kind of weird. I didn't see what happened, but suddenly he was very injured and had to run away.
Yeah, you step a little bit too far forward. You can get chunked out very quickly by this P1 team. But that said, I mean, TSM, they get the kill, they get the tier 2, they take away the blue buff, continuously denying those away, and it feels like there's not a lot of holes right now. There's not a lot of ways back in for P1 that TSM is showing, and they're going to need a bit of a miracle fight. But at this point, with the front line so tanky, can they even get that?
They might need several, to be honest, in some way. And of course, there's always game 2, there's always game 3 if you can win the second one, so maybe it's not in this one. But yeah, what you said is true, though. It feels like this is TSM saying, okay, this is our last match before the playoffs. We have to make sure we play well and just clean everything up. And it feels like they are so much playing this game by the book, living inside the jungle, living on top of wards, playing for wave control very constantly. They're not taking very big risks. They're not trying to push their luck on anything. They haven't looked at Baron more than just in passing so far this game. It's been take the reds, take the blues. When you get that pick, then we'll go for more. And they've played it very clean.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to go for the Baron as long as you're still taking other things away, as long as you're still getting those advantages, which they have been able to do. And now setting up their waves on the bot side, they can move up the top side.
There's the charm flash they find. Ryu, the kick's going to be enough to let Bjergsen get it with the Foxfire. Another kill picked up, and single kill turns into another turret yet again.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be another easy turret, and you know, at this stage of the game, it's getting later and later in. As they take these turrets down, they can start to threaten Baron.
And they might just do that. 6 outer turrets now all gone. The only ones left are the ones inside the base. As TSM sit on a clean 10,000 gold lead here, and right on the Baron they go. Rengar will pop for vision. Sadly, a 1-4-1 Rengar, not exactly scary.
Yep, and with the ultimate down, it's so hard for him to actually get in the pit to try to challenge for this fight. He has to look for a flash, but there's a Malzahar for suppression, so...
As long as Bifrost holds the backside, doesn't screw it up. Here comes the push. They find Zig, but he's the tank. He's the one they want to engage on. Fights back for a little while. He's going to be okay for now. Redemption heals TSM's back line. There's a flash. They found Arrow. They go for the damage up, but they're going to knock him down right away. 2 for 0 to start this one. And the third comes through. Zenori has no way out of that. And now with the jungler dead, this Baron is a formality for TSM.
Yeah, textbook from TSM. They get a pick on the mid laner. They force around the Baron, turn for the fight, take the fight, and now should be able to eliminate even more kills and get a free Baron.
Nice pickup there. And now Ryu's got to find his way into a 1v5. Now, Ryu's had his troubles with Baron pits on this side, but this one, I think it's not really expected of him to do well.
He could look for the shockwave combo. There still is some threat of stealing it, and he's behind enough that he should try.
Shockwave, they waited out, and actually still almost screwed it up. Got that at 23 HP.
Sven,
it was actually Haunter who hit it, yeah.
Sven actually did not even use his smite.
Yep. Like I said, it was close. Benelow's got it low.
Yeah, very, very close there. But here's the fight again. You know, the Ryu's already down. They're going to turn for the fight. This is the safest way to get that Baron. P1 must come in and challenge, but there's no way to retaliate in this 4v5 that far behind. Biofrost finds an opening for the flash ultimate onto Arrow, and that seals the deal.
And even then, the rest of it is Bjergsen waiting around looking for the opening in the backside. And now we have Biofrost once again living inside this Phoenix 1 jungle, and they've only given up 4 kills, 1 Drake, and 1 turret all game. There's very little P1's ever gotten here.
One of the luxuries, too, of having a hyper tank like Haunter, where he's so fed, is he takes very little damage from the Baron. You can tank it up for longer. It's not something where you're forced to commit to it right away. You have the option of kind of going in, hitting it, coming off, and being able to look for that fight.
And here comes the push. Maybe closing the game out 30 minutes in with the Baron buff. It's usually all you need to make the rest of it go your way with a 13,000 gold lead. TSM looking to take care of business. Game score is pretty irrelevant for them. They must win the match. They can't win a game score head-to-head against Cloud9, but they can certainly disapprove the match. They're going to be out of reach. Mid lane going to be the focus here. 4 members strong. Hansura has aggro, drops it now. Turret's going to lose HP.
Turret's gone.
And Arrow's pretty much gone as well. Very injured. Not going for the kick just yet is Sven. Goes back to his team, and Inhibitor's going to go down, and P1 If they won't fight for the turret, they should not fight for the inhibitor, give that one away. They will wait for another attempt later.
It feels like it's going to be very difficult to even fight for the second one as the wave is already getting prepped. TSM ushering these Baron minions in, giving them something to deal with while they do shove up that bot lane. And they had so much confidence just force into the base and take that fight. I think they're just going to look to do that once more.
Here comes the push. First under fire right now,
Nori
Sven. And Bjergsen looking for the flanks. There comes the Nori, hit up by the Mal's ulti. He's going to lose his health pretty fast. It goes down to Hanser. Arrow on the side drops as well. Bjergsen gets the second kill of this fight. Looking for number 3 is Zig. And number 4 goes down. There's no one left but Shady, and he's just not able to keep this one alive. The rest of his clique is gone and dead, and it's time for the turrets to fall. TSM going to close one out, 23-4 in kills. Maybe make it 24 to get revenge on how that bot lane went. Not going to happen. He flashes for the KDA. True KDA player in Shady. Nexus goes down. TSM 1 game away from clinching the #1 seed to end the regular split.
And what a game it was. TSM looked so good here. 23-4, complete domination of P1, who had been moving up in the standings, who people have been giving a lot of credit to. But this weekend has not been their best games. They got destroyed yesterday by C9. Now they get absolutely trashed by TSM in game #1. Maybe they're just not as good as we thought. They hadn't fought these top 2 teams.
Right, I know it's so hard to look at small pieces of evidence and say, I know what the reality is.
Yeah,
because
it's really
they
tough.
were looking very good for 10 or so matches straight. And okay, maybe it's a week 9 slump, or maybe it's because they're not playing against the top tier teams. I'm not sure. Certainly, they do not look as good. And some of it I feel like is they objectively don't look as good, not just because Wild Turtle and Co. are better. Like, you know, you still saw Arrow and Shady win lane really well. The brand comes out, the first of North America, I've got to be sure, in several years, I've got to assume. And okay, well, this clearly worked for them, but it was, well, Sven having one of his best games of the year, completely bopped a Nori, and also got Hanser head on the top lane. And, you know, maybe that's Zig's fault and Nori's fault.
I mean, the brand almost did the most damage in the game, was just a little bit below, a couple hundred damage below Bjergsen, who was by far the most on his team. So I actually think the brand was relatively successful.
I agree.
You know, including the fact that they won lane, they took turret, they did get that first turret, but the top side was such a catastrophe for P1 that it was really hard to ever get back into the game.
And you can see this is basically my jungler versus your jungler. Svenskeren had done so much this game, the top camp. Inori, by the way, only did 3,000 damage all game. He did roughly half or less of anyone else on his team. You can see more of this here. Ward hops for the Q. He was basically trying to get there in time because of the recall happening, and that was pretty nice.
As a jungler, when your top laner or one of your solo lanes is already behind and then you are also behind, it is pretty hopeless to actually try to get control of your own jungle against a good team. And TSM took full control of that from the very beginning. Not only did they get top lane rolling, they get the solo kill, they go right back to top lane, and you're always going to dominate vision on that side of the map. It's super hard to even contest for your buffs because, you know, even if it's a 2v2, you lose that as well because their top laner is stronger too. Yeah,
and you saw it, you know, some of it played out in champ select as well. Ryu getting outlaned by Bjergsen. Some of that is Bjergsen's probably just going to win the lane in general player skill, but also the fact that, and you can, I guess, malign Shady for it slightly, because they wanted to save the brand pick, they blind pick their mid laner. Bjergsen gets counter pick, and lo and behold, wins lane. And I don't know if you can completely blame Ryu for having to blind the Orianna. Sure, it's a safer champ, but Ari's supposed to win the matchup, and shockingly, Bjergsen makes it happen. And is that Shady's fault? Or is the coach saying, okay, we're fine dropping 16 CS in the mid lane to get this brand pick? Because, I mean, as long as you compare mid to bottom, minus 16 CS versus first turret, I'll take the brand every day of the week. That was a worthwhile trade, but you did have 2 losing lanes.
It can look bad when everything else is falling apart, right? And I don't think you can blame the brand for this loss at all, in my opinion.
I don't think so. No.
I do think that it was relatively effective, but it's just simply something where Inori did not look effective at all. Svenskeren was on fire. And, you know, honestly, even though Inori was behind, I think he could have taken more opportunities, taken more chances to actually look for some of these ultimates. It felt like every single ultimate he was using, there was no potential of a kill. It was just for vision, or it was a fight. Okay, sweet, you can't engage. You already know you can't engage. You've already seen them. Why even use the ultimate? I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see him look for more lane ganks and things like that, turn it around. Yes, Hanser was strong, but Zig is still on a powerful early game champion. And in the early stages, even when Hanser had a kill or two, I think you can ult down that lane when Sven shows somewhere else and look for kills, or try to trail your bot laner and look for a kill there. But he never really did that. He essentially just kind of farmed it out, and it felt like he didn't try much of anything.
Yeah, I do agree. I thought this was a pretty bad game for Nori, which is heartbreaking because I like him as a person. My interactions have only been good with him, and it's like, you know, I got a feel for him. Like, gets in a sense like kicked off his own team. Like, he went away for a week and suddenly he's just on the bench the whole time. He has one game back, wins against Echo Fox, feels good about that one. Another game back, gets hard blast and does the worst in his team. It's rough for him. We'll see if he stays in for game 2. We'll see in a little bit. But for now, we're stepping away for a quick break. But of course, don't go anywhere. Game 2 between Phoenix 1 and TSM will be here when we return. Stick around.